Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and online violin tutor. So in this video I just want to very quickly talk to you about how to tighten your violin bow. But before I do that, I just want to tell you all about my 1 to 30 violin course that I know so many of you have no idea that I have, and it really is a fantastic course. So my 1 to 30 violin course is the first online and interactive course of its kind that 100% guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to a very decent, accomplished intermediate player. It's comprised of 30 lessons with 5 PDF tutorial and songbooks, and the whole course is completely online and downloadable. So the course will start off by taking you through the very basics, from how to hold the violin and how to hold the bow. Then you'll start to play simple exercises just to get you going. You'll be learning how to read music, and then you will finish off by learning a proper piece of music with a piano backing track. And that's just in the first 10 lessons. The beauty of this course is that the first 10 lessons are absolutely free, along with all the PDF printouts and all the materials that you might need. This is going to give you an idea of my teaching style and really to see how fast that you're going to learn with my 1 to 30 violin course before you commit to the rest of it. The course is priced at $59.99 US, and this is a one-off payment. It's a really cheap course when you think about it. If you were to hire a private music teacher or have weekly lessons, you know, they'd be costing you, what, in the UK about anywhere between sort of 20 and 30 pounds an hour. In the US, you know, maybe an average of $50, sometimes more depending on whether you're in a big city or not. So my course really is like having a one-time payment for a teacher. As I said, the course is 100% downloadable, and it is literally available to anyone, anywhere, no matter where you are in the world. This course really is the enchilada of all violin courses, and the link to the free first 10 lessons and all materials needed to get yourself started right now will be linked directly below this video. Okay, tightening your bow. So if I just loosen my bow so that you can see. Okay, so the hairs are loosened. It's probably good to note at this point that when you've finished your daily practice, when you're going to put your violin, your bow back in its case, you want to loosen it. So you want to leave the bow in this kind of loosened state, just so that the hairs are just, you know, a lot looser. Try not to touch the hairs, but you don't really want to leave the bow tightened up. Sometimes I will leave my bow tightened up for a couple of days. I know if I've got a string of gigs, I don't want to keep, you know, tightening, untightening. I do that more just from a lazy aspect more than anything else. But you know, if you are storing your violin for maybe a few days or a few extra days, or you're not practicing, you're not able to practice that often. Sometimes I can't, you know, I can't practice for a period of time. You know, I will always make sure that I loosen my bow. But for me, this is just a habit I've gotten into. So we're starting with a loosened bow. Now I'm just holding the bow up here just so you can see it. You can't really see the bow if I hold it there. So this is the bow loosened. Now this bow is quite an expensive bow, so I'll show you the difference between this bow, which is mine, which is an expensive professional bow, and a more student quality bow, and then you can see the difference. So this is my expensive bow, and what you'll notice, it's completely loose. There's no tension anywhere. You will notice there is a dip in the middle of the wood here. Okay, so it's not, the bow isn't completely straight. Now this is the student quality bow. This is actually a Mendini bow, and the difference between this is that there is still a dip in the violin, but you notice it's kind of concentrated around here. So if I show you the difference between that one and mine. Okay, so I'm trying to hold these level. So the top bow is the Mendini bow, and the bottom bow is my bow. Now they've both got bends in the bow, but you can see the bend on the Mendini bow is more there, and mine is more centered in the middle. Now, you know, it doesn't matter too much, but that is the sign of a lower quality bow, where you've got the bend that's kind of centered here. So that's okay, but you'll just find that, you know, in time the bow might sort of feel a bit heavy. It won't sort of be responding, it won't be doing what you want, but you know, it's okay, it's fine, as long as there is a bend in the bow. Now, if I just use the Mendini bow, just because it's the one that I'm holding, what I'm going to do is tighten the bow. So I'm going to over tighten the bow. Now, if I over tighten the bow, I don't know if you can see that, but it now looks like the bow is sort of slightly warping out that way. It's kind of convex now. We want the bow to be concave, but this is kind of now convex, and I can see there's more or less a perfect straight line between the wood of the bow and the hair. Now we don't want that. So I'll have coming up on screen a picture of 3 bows. One will be too loose, one will be too tight, and one will be just right. Now have a look at those 3 bows and see if you can just figure out, before I tell you at the end of this video, see if you can figure out and tell me which one you think is correct. So this is too much. It's just too much. There's going to be too much tension. The bow is going to be bouncing off the strings all over the place. It's going to have a mind of its own. It's too much. Now if I loosen it, you will see that the bend starts to appear in the bow, and remember we said the bend is over there. Now if I loosen it too much, the hair is kind of still tight. I can see some of the hair's a little bit loose, but there's too much of a bend there, and I can just sort of feel that the hairs are too loose. So when I go to put my my bow on the string, I'm going to be pressing down on the bow. I'm not going to have enough tension there. Do you see what I mean? The bow is just going to be hitting, the hair, sorry, is going to be hitting straight on the wood of the bow. What I do want is to tighten it so that it doesn't do that. So when I try and push down, I can't really hit the wood down to the hair because there's too much tension there. But we also want a little bit of a bend in the bow here as well, or ideally it should be in the middle, but we still want the bow to be concave. So what I normally suggest students to do is to tighten the bow until the hair is near enough completely straight, and then just unwind it once or twice so that it goes back down to a nice bend. And that's where you want your bow to be. So let me just do that again. So if I loosen the bow completely, it's very difficult to have this coming out on camera. If I loosen the bow completely, actually I'll do it up here. If I loosen the bow completely and then I tighten the bow, and I tighten it to the point where it's too much. So there, I've lost the bend in the bow. It's almost going convex, but it's not quite. It's just sort of, let me get it so that it's perfectly straight. Okay, so if you get the bow to where it's perfectly straight, then what you want to do is just turn it sort of half a turn, maybe another half a turn, just so that you can see the bow going concave a touch. And that, my friends, is your golden tightness, as it were, of the bow. So it's a good way of doing it, rather than doing it from completely flexing the bow and sort of thinking, oh, where do I stop? Where do I stop? Oh, that will do. Most people tend to have the bow so it's perfectly parallel. So the hair is completely in line or completely parallel to the wood of the bow. That's too much. Get it so that it's at that point, and then take it down 1 to 2, maybe even 3 half turns. So you see the bow bending a little bit, but the hair is still flexed. It's still got enough tension, and the wood still got enough tension, and that's where you're going. So I personally do that myself. I just do that without thinking about it now. So I will tighten the hair, I will tighten the bow until I think it's too much, and then I'll just loosen it a little bit. I find it has a much more tolerance for when I'm playing, when I over tighten it and I take it down, than trying to tighten it from complete loose to that stage, if that sort of makes sense. I find that if I tighten the bow to the exact stage I want it to be, I find it almost too loose in a way. I find that, you know, maybe 20 minutes of playing, I'm having to sort of stop and just tighten the bow a little bit more. But I find that if I go in and I slightly over tighten the bow to the point where I know it's going too straight or too parallel from the hair and the wood is too parallel, and then I just, you know, undo it just a twinge so that I get that concave or get that nice bend in the bow, then I find that it's at the perfect tension for me. So I hope that has helped you into how to really tighten your bow and knowing a little bit more of the wheres, fors and abouts and things like that. I'll have coming up on the screen the answer to the bow as to which one was the correct tension. There was a little bit of a kind of a sneaky one in there, a little bit of a red herring. So I wonder how many of you actually got that one. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget the link to my 1 to 30 violin course will be linked directly underneath this video. First 10 lessons are absolutely free, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.